A week from now, it's city playoff time. But first off, it's time to finish conference play. And that starts off tonight here at Lane Gymnasium. Lane Tech and Clark set to tip off in just under 10 minutes. Thank you so much for joining us. My name's Alex Burstein, above the court here at Lane Gymnasium for some Monday night Red Northwest Conference action. Postponement earlier this month means we're having some Monday night basketball. Not usual. Usually Lane Tech playing on Wednesday and Friday, plus some other nights throughout the week. But we have Monday night basketball to open the week, and it should be a fun one tonight between Lane Tech and Clark. Last year, Lane Tech had a loss to the Eagles 51-41 on the road, but they are hoping to use some home court advantage tonight and take the win over the Eagles with just over 6:15 to go until tip-off. These two teams have not played each other a lot. In fact, just one recorded matchup between these two teams on Max Preps. As we mentioned earlier, a win over Clark over Lane last year, 51-41, the final for the Eagles. Sean Malloy was strong for Lane in that game, but it was not enough for them to overpass the Eagles. That game was on the road, however, as we mentioned, so Lane will be hoping to get some home court advantage tonight as they take on Clark once again. Clark has had a pretty remarkable climb up the Chicago Public League ladder the last couple of years. Terrence Head became the head coach of this team in 2016, and when he took over, they were in the Blue Conference. And for those of you who do not follow high school basketball, that is the lowest conference in the Chicago Public League. In his first year, they made it to the White, which is the second highest. And then last year, they were able to break through to the Red. And usually when teams come up to the Red, they sometimes have struggles staying up there. But they went 4-2 in conference play last year, and then they are off to an even hotter start, 6-1 to start conference play this year. So they'll be hoping to make it 7-1 this afternoon, and they enter in a very good position to have a pretty high seed come city tournament play. Lane, meanwhile, has hit a rough spot in conference play after a super strong 4-1 start to the year in conference play. Back-to-back losses to Westinghouse and Orr in conference play have put them in a pretty tight position heading into two big matchups. First off, Clark tonight and then Whitney Young on Wednesday. Lane needs at least one of those to get to the above 500 in conference play, which would be pretty big for them. Obviously, they are going to stay up in the Red Northwest no matter what. They come in tonight actually 4th place in the conference, so they're by no means in regulation risk. However, for a higher city seed and just for some bragging rights, they would like to finish over 500 in conference play. But to get that win tonight, there's going to be a couple of keys for them. First off, it's going to be physicality. It's a pretty big Clark team. They have some big guys down low. The twins, Michael and Myquan Jones, the 6'4" senior twins. We saw them a couple years ago at Farragut when Lane played against them, and they had big games. Now they're over here at Clark, transferred over last year, and they'll be hoping to make a big difference. Those are 6'4", but there's some physical guys, and they also have 6'9" Solomon Agist, who is a very good player, number 15. He's a guy to watch out for. But Lane Tech's really going to have to find a way to stick with that Clark big men, crash the paint if it means that, and keep them from scoring those easy inside points. And then the second key of the game is going to be turnovers. And I mean this in a couple of ways. Lane Tech's forcing turnovers. It's been really key for them this whole year to getting victories. They continued it against Orr, and it worked pretty well. However, they're also going to have to limit turnovers because even when they're scoring points off of turnovers, they've also been giving up some off of turnovers. So if they can limit those tonight, that will be very key for Lane Tech. As for Clark, they're going to have their size advantage tonight, and they're going to need to use that to their advantage. First off, they're just going to need to work it inside. That's going to be one of the keys to them tonight. Obviously, Lane Tech has 6'6" Lucas Basil on their roster, but if they can get the ball inside to a couple of their bigs, they can get some easy in the paint points, which would be very big for Clark. And then second off, this is just going to be a fast-paced game. If Clark can keep it fast-paced, that's going to be big for them. Force Lane to have some errors, force those turnovers as we were talking about. And that would be very big for the Eagles to getting a win and getting to 7-1 in conference play tonight. The one blemish in a big loss to Whitney Young. But since then, it has been a very good season for Clark, and they are on a 5-game winning streak entering tonight. Actually, this is their second game in 2 days. They took on North Lawndale yesterday afternoon, and they won by 6. A close matchup. North Lawndale's just been so up and down this year, but they were able to take down the Phoenix in a high-scoring Chicago Public League affair to get to 6-1. They'll be hoping to get to 7-1 against Lane Tech tonight. 2 minutes to go until tip-off here, so we're going to get you your starting lineups. First off, for the visiting Clark Eagles. Apologies, folks. There was a lot of number changes for Clark that we just got, so we're going to try to do our best to get through these. It looks like for the main core guys, it's about the same numbers, but it'll be number 1, Cottrell Weekly, a 6'2 junior, getting the start at very energetic. He has some small college interest, and he's been really good this season for the Eagles. To go along with him, it'll be number 3, Cordy C.J. Johnson. He's been really impressive coming off of a 14-point performance. He's been really good this year for the 5'10 junior. Only way to beat a 14-point performance is 33 points from number 11, Michael Jones, yesterday against North Lawndale. He gets to start alongside his brother, Myquan Jones, so we'll be going with first and last names for those two tonight. There's actually 3 Joneses on this team. And then finally, rounding out the starting lineup is Solomon Agist, who has been super impressive. As we mentioned, 6'9", the big man for this team. As for Lane Tech, they're going with their same starting 5 tonight as usual. Sean Malloy starting in the 2 spot, the 6'3 senior, to go along with number 5, Ethan Grundebaum, the 6'5 senior point guard / shooting guard. Number 22, Shahid Solibo, the 6'3 sophomore. Number 23, Stephen Goonan, who has kind of broken into the starting lineup these last couple of weeks. And then finally, number 24, Lucas Basil, the 6'6 senior. 30 seconds on the clock, and then we'll have tip-off. I'm not sure if we're doing the national anthem tonight. Looks like we will, so we'll turn over to that in just a second. Should be a fun one. Lane Tech looking to get back on track after back-to-back conference losses, as we mentioned, and Clark, not really anything to get back on track from. They've been very hot this year, just 3 losses on the year, and they'll be hoping to keep it at 3 at the end of tonight while taking on Lane Tech. We're going to send it to the PA announcer for the national anthem and starting lineups. We'll be back in just a couple of seconds for 32 minutes of Chicago Public League Red Northwest basketball. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Lane Tech basketball here on the Lane Tech Athletics YouTube channel. Eight minutes on the clock, and we're ready for some Monday Night Basketball. For those of you just joining us, we'll run through the starting lineups once again. First off, for the visiting Clark Eagles, for them tonight, it'll be number 1, Cottrell Weekly, the junior, getting the start to go along with number 3, Cordy C.J. Johnson. We'll be going for C.J. for tonight's broadcast, as well as the twins, number 11 and number 12, Michael and Myquan Jones, the 6'4 senior pair, and number 15, Solomon Agist. The big for this team, they are coached by Terrence Head in his 6th season on top of this Clark team. As for Lane Tech, they're going with their same 5 as usual. Number 1, Sean Malloy, who just got introduced on the court to go along with number 5, Ethan Grundebaum, the point guard 1 for this team. Number 23, Stephen Goonan. Number 22, Shahid Solibo, who has been very hot as of recent. And number 24, Lucas Basil. Solibo was actually named possibly the best sophomore in the public league by the Sun-Times' Michael O'Brien on Friday. So he has some hype living up to his name right now, and he'll hope to get that tonight against the visiting Clark Eagles. Lane Tech in their home whites, and Clark in some sleek all black uniforms with yellow lining. Those are my favorite uniforms I've seen all year. But 8 minutes on the clock, and we're ready for tip-off here at Lane Gymnasium for some Monday night action. Looks like it'll be number 24, Lucas Basil, in the circle to start things off for Lane Tech, and as expected, number 15, Solomon Agist for the Eagles. Basil's won a lot of tip-offs this year, but this might be the tallest guy he's facing off. Agist is listed at 6'9", but Basil at 6'6". Doesn't look like there's a 3-inch difference between those two, so one of them might be a little taller or shorter than as stated, but ref is going to come up to the middle, and looks like we're just about ready for tip-off here at Lane. Ball's up, and that's won by Agist, but fighting for it is Malloy, and Lane Tech will have the first possession of the night, so Clark squanders an early opportunity there for the score, as Salibo is going to pull for an early corner three, misses it, and that will go off of Salibo. They won't call it off the Eagles, and Clark will get their first shot at it tonight. Cordy C.J. Johnson will run the point to start things off tonight for the Eagles. 7:40 on the clock here between Lane Tech and Clark in the first quarter of action. These two teams both like to score the ball, so expect somewhat of a high-scoring matchup here tonight. Down low, they get to Michael Jones. Passes it out. Here's the three ball on its way from Weekly. He can't get to go. Rebounded by Salibo. So Salibo misses a shot, but redeems himself with the defensive rebound. And now he's going to try for another three. Can't get it. 0 for 2 shooting out of the gate by the sophomore. And they're going to push it to Michael Jones on the other side of the court. He goes in for 2. Can't get it, but gets his own rebound. Goes up for 2, and he gets fouled. And that will be the first foul of the night, and Michael Jones will head to the line to shoot a pair. So almost a minute into this one, no one has scored yet, but Michael Jones has the best chance so far as he misses the first shot, so will remain tied at 0-0. Lane Tech fans might remember hearing his name 2 years ago when him and his brother were on Farragut. They transferred out after their sophomore year, now seniors on this team, but they were pretty big contributors as sophomores for that Farragut team and played it pretty decent against Lane, as Grunewald's going to pull for 3, trying to get back that 1-point deficit, but can't get it. And Lane Tech, 3 possessions, 3 3-point shots, and they have missed all 3 of them, as this ball is going to be called out against the Lane Tech, and Orr will keep it. Miquan Jones will get his first touches of the night while inbounding it here. Gets it outside to Johnson. Johnson's been quiet here, goes up for the runner, can't get it, rebounded by Basil, and a defensive foul will be called on Agist, I believe. And Lane Tech gets it back, still 1-0 the score. Apologies, folks, we're going to reset our scoreboard here, so it is all working and should be good to go now. 1-0, 6.5 to play in quarter number 1. Lane has only shot 3 so far tonight. Now Salibo's going to go in and hit the and one. Nice first points of the night for Shahid Salibo. He gets Lane Tech on the board. And Lane Tech has their first lead of the night, 2-1 here over the Eagles. Salibo has just been so impressive as of recent for Lane as he hits the free throw, and Lane Tech out to an early 3-1 lead over the Eagles. So both teams have hit a free throw. The difference right now, a 2-pointer, as Miquan Jones goes in for a quick 2, and Clark responds with a 2 of their own. And it's all knotted up here at 3 with 6 and change to go in quarter number 1. Salibo doing it all by himself. He's kind of running this Lane Tech offense right now, and it's 5-3. Both these teams playing extremely fast-paced right now. Now Lane finally getting to get a stop. One of our keys for Clark was actually keep it fast-paced, as Miquan Jones misses the 2, and they'll say it goes off of Salibo, and Clark will keep it. But as we said, one of the keys for Clark was kind of keep it fast-paced and try to force these turnovers from Lane, but so far Lane's been playing pretty mistake-free basketball. It could have been up more if it weren't for a couple missed shots, as there's a missed shot from Johnson for the Eagles. Fighting on the ground for its Goonan, he can't get it, but Malloy will scoop it up. Lane Tech on the fast break. They don't have the numbers Malloy wanted, though, so he'll keep it. Tried for a pass down there to Goonan, but they were off the mark. Goonan went one way, the pass went the other, and Clark will get it back with over 5.5 to go in quarter number 1. Still really early on this contest. 8-point score between the two teams and a 2-point Lane Tech lead. Far side, going up for two, misses it, but the rebound, and Myquan Jones has another two. So him and his brother have combined for all 5 of the points tonight for the Eagles, and we're all knotted up at 5 as a defensive foul is going to be called on Weekly as Malloy was driving quickly on him. That will be the 3rd team foul on Clark here as Salibo pulls for the open 3, can't get it to go. Malloy, though, with the putback, he can't get it. Lane Tech struggling to get the ball in the basket early on, especially from 3-point range. The 3 on its way from Mikel Jones, nothing but nets. And the brothers keep at it. 8 points, and all 8 of them scored by someone with the last name of Jones. 4:45 to go in the first quarter. Goonan with it, being guarded by Mikel Jones. Gets it here to Grunbaum on the near side. Grunbaum will take it himself, right-hand side. Wide open Malloy. Malloy drains it. We've seen Malloy be more open to taking shots instead of just driving the past couple of games, and it shows there as he hits the 3, and a travel will be called by Myquan Jones here, and Lane Tech gets it back. So a little bit of momentum boost here possibly for Lane as we approach the 4:20 mark in the first quarter. We'll have a mass timeout momentarily here between Lane Tech and Clark at the first dead ball under 4 as they get out to Goonan. He pulls for 3 and gets it. So after Lane Tech misses, I believe, their first 4 3-point attempts, now their offense starting to come alive. They hit back-to-back to turn a 3-point deficit into a 3-point lead. Agis going in for 2, can't get it. An offensive rebound there, though, from Mikel Jones, and he goes up for 2. So 11-10 to score, 3:45 to go in the first quarter. Basil playing from the perimeter here early on tonight. Salibo still trying to hit that 3 ball, and he finally does. Lane Tech's offense is hot, and it's a 4-point Lane lead. Clark rushing it up the court here. Myquan Jones, he goes up for 2 and finishes. So that's 12 points from the Jones brothers and 12 for Clark overall. So right now it's just those 2 versus Lane. Malloy gets fancy with it. Goonan thought about another 3, but instead passes it off. Goonan's kind of worked his way into the starting lineup, and a big block there from Agis using his side. And there's going to be a mass timeout called on the floor. So 3:14 to go. Lane Tech with a 14-12 lead. Looked a little scary there for Lane for a second as they were missing all their 3s. And one of the keys for this team this year is they've stayed in games by shooting the 3 ball. Obviously, these Red Northwest contests can tend to be high scoring. Last Wednesday, that was not the case against Westinghouse, but we saw that again on Friday against Orr, and if Lane Tech's able to keep this 3 ball alive, Clark should be on upset alert early on tonight. The key for Lane Tech, though, it's going to be finding a way to stop Mikel and Myquan. I don't know if, I'm guessing Lane Tech's defense is going to focus on those 2 as 12 points for Clark, 12 from them. They've scored all of the points. However, we'll see if Clark's able to adjust, get some other guys the ball, and see how they played. Mainly, it's just been the most touches have gone to Mikel and Myquan early on here tonight. I'm not sure. It's quite possible that Clark is a little short-handed tonight. As we mentioned in our opener, I just had to switch basically my entire roster. We got a roster last week from head coach Terrence Head of Clark. However, there's been some significant changes there, and it will be a sub into the game. Daryl Liberty, coming in for the first time tonight. The 6'2" senior, as he checks into the game for Cottrell Weekly, who was pretty quiet in the first 4.5. Lane Tech will have 2 subs into the game as Will Rosenkrantz and Jack Soar check into the game for Ethan Grunbaum and Stephen Goonan. So Soar is still getting quality minutes despite not being in the starting lineup for the last week or so. As Soar will find open Rosenkrantz. Thought about the 3, instead will get it out to Salibo. 3:10 to go in the first frames. Malloy gets in and scores. That's what they're going to need from Sean Malloy tonight. He's up to 5 points. As down low, they're going to lose it, and they're going to call an offensive foul. So another foul called here on Clark. That one will be against Mikel Jones, and that is big problem for the Eagles. That is the 2nd foul called on Mikel Jones in just the first quarter here, as Hayden Matthews is going to come in the first quarter. So Lane Tech's trying something new here, as Matthews will check into the game. He's kind of been the three-point specialist in the garbage time for Lane Tech this year, as he misses his three-point attempt, but it's this is one of his first times playing in the first quarter, really just the first half. 16-12 to score. Lane Tech on top of the Eagles. 2:40 to go in the first quarter. Alex Burston on the call here from Lane Gymnasium, as Lane looking to snap a 2-game losing streak. They get in the corner. 3 on its way from Johnson, one of the leading scorers on this team, but he can't convert. And Jack Zor off to the races. Hands it off to Rosenkrantz. So just 2 starters still into the game for Lane Tech, that being Shahid Solibo and Lucas Basil. As Basil drives right-hand side, he's going to get fouled. It's kind of been quiet scoring-wise. Came alive with 4 points in the 4th against Orr last week, and he's going to hope to get on the scoreboard early here. That is the 5th team foul on Clark so far tonight, just 1 on Lane Tech. And we'll have another Clark sub into the game momentarily. Kamarion Lofton checking in, number 21. We'll see who he comes in for. I saw Hayden Matthews talking with head coach Nicholas Legalbo of Lane Tech before the game. Wasn't sure it was going to mean more minutes for him, but looks like that is the case here early on, as the first free throw good from Basil, and Geist will check out of the game. Geist, excuse me. Lofton comes in, and there's going to be a lane violation, so the second free throw is not going to count, I don't think. So Basil made 2 of them, but only 1 will count. It's a 5-point Lane Tech lead of just over 2 to go in the first quarter. Johnson slowing down the pace. It was fast-paced for the first couple of minutes, however. Obviously with the earlier hole here and one of the Jones brothers out, that's not what you want here. As Johnson gets it top of the key, NBA 3, can't get it to go. He's missed his last 2 shot attempts. Down low, going up, and 1 from Lofton. He makes an immediate impact and cuts it to a 3-point game to make it a 2-point game here off of the free throw. Already made it a 1-possession game for the 6'1 senior. And Parker Springer will check into the game for Lucas Basil. So Shahid Solibo, the lone starter, still into the game for Lane Tech with 1:49 to go in the first quarter. Lofton misses it. Clark had a lot of trust in him. They put no guys to rebound, and works for an error for them as they're unable to get it. Now Matthews pulls for 3, can't get it. He's 0 for 2 shooting out of the gate. Rosenkrantz tries for the rebound, but it'll be taken by Myquan Jones, and Eagles have a chance to tie it here with a 3-ball. They get to Myquan Jones being guarded by Matthews here. A little bit of a mismatch size-wise, as a 3 on its way, no good. Rebounded here by Rosenkrantz. The missed shot there was from Liberty. Here we see a full court press from Clark. Lane Tech was working on this pregame, and a timeout, 30-second timeout, is going to be called by head coach Nicholas Legalbo of Lane Tech. 17-14 the score, 1:13 to go in the first quarter of action. Lane Tech had gotten out to kind of a bigger lead. Looked as if Sean Malloy was maybe working with a trainer there for a second, but he jogs back to the huddle, and he's going to check back into the game. So short-lived outage for Sean Malloy there. We'll see who he checks in for. Looks like it may be Hayden Matthews. And obviously that's not someone you can have out of the game. Sean Malloy, one of the top scorers on this team, 5 points early on here tonight to go along with 8 from Shahid Solibo. So those two have combined for 13, go along with 1 from Lucas Basil. Looks like the same 5 will come back onto the court. Excuse me, no, we do have a sub into the, no, same 5 on the court, excuse me, for Clark. Earlier on, I think we had a misnumber. It was number 23. It was Devontae Wynn-Patton who made that 1 free throw. Or excuse me, missed a 1 free throw, but had the and 1 for Clark a couple of minutes ago. Apologies, folks. Once again, a couple number changes here for Clark, as they're going to hand it off to Shahid Solibo here. Just a minute to go in the first quarter. Tsor tries to join in on a 3-point fun. He can't, and fighting for the rebound will be Wynn-Patton. Gives it to Johnson here. 50 seconds and rolling here, as Clark wastes no time but misses the layup. However, Lofton will fight for the rebound and a second chance here. Myquan Jones in the corner, 40 seconds. His brother not into the game. Those two have been the leading scorers for this Clark team all year long, and they've been impressive. Some of the leading scorers for this team, and they've been impressive early on tonight. 25 seconds on the clock, and looks like the Eagles are going to hold for one final shot. And a somewhat quick first frame of action here between Lane Tech and the Eagles, as Johnson just holding still there near the logo at midcourt. So we're playing light defense. Looks like Lane Tech maybe in the zone here, as I'll pass it off in the corner to Myquan Jones with 4 seconds. He pulls for 3, can't get it, fighting for the rebound. So Lebo gets it, and he will dribble out, not have time to get a shot off. And that's going to bring us to the end of one quarter of play. 17-14, Lane Tech takes a 3-point lead into the second quarter. We'll be back in just a second. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Lane Tech basketball here on the Lane Tech Athletics YouTube channel. So as we mentioned, Clark has only lost one conference game so far this year. They've been really impressive, but Lane putting them on upset alert early on. That Lane takes a 3-point lead into the second quarter. A lot of this year, Lane Tech has been a second half team, second quarter to second half, but usually the first couple of quarters have not been their friends, but that was a pretty good first quarter after a rough couple of minutes shooting-wise. The 3-ball came alive, and that is going to be important for Lane Tech heading into this second 8 minutes of play. 8 minutes on the clock, and we're underway in the second quarter here from Lane Gymnasium. Myquan Jones with it on the far side, swings it here, and they'll get it back to him. He's really running this offense right now. The short 2 on its way, and that's good from Lofton, and it is a 1-point game here with 7:40 to go in the first half. Lane Tech looks all prepared for this Clark press, breaking it with ease as Rosenkrantz gets it down low to Springer. Lane Tech hasn't really gotten any points in the paint here tonight, and I will eat my words there. A quick 2 from Parker Springer, and 19-16 the score with 7:20 to go now in the first quarter. Lane Tech has an answer for whatever Clark is throwing at them offensively. Rosenkrantz with defense. Lane Tech in a zone right now, but they find an open Johnson who drains the 3. Johnson had been quiet, but you cannot leave him open. He's coming off of a 14-point afternoon yesterday against North Lawndale, and we're all knotted up at 19, under 7 to go here in the first half. Grunenbaum pulls for the open 3. He gets it. A beautiful shot there. Looked like it was kind of curving to bounce off the rim, but just slices through the net. And now with over a minute into the first quarter, it's once again a Lane Tech lead. Down low, there's going to be a foul called here. It'll be called on Jack Soar. That will be the 3rd team foul. Lane Tech did call one timeout in the first quarter. That's the 2nd straight game they've called a timeout in the first quarter. Not something we see all that often from this Lane Tech team, I believe. As Lane Tech will get a steal right into the hands of Will Rosenkrantz. He's on the fast break, decides to take it himself. Kind of went around the blocking attempt, and that's one of the more impressive moves we've seen from Will Rosenkrantz all year long. He's been shooting the 3 a lot, but doesn't drive a lot. Gets the 2 there, as the response from Myquan Jones no good. However, putting it up for second chance points will be Lofton. And Lofton will head to line to shoot a pair, trying to cut into this early 5-point Lane Tech lead. That's going to be the 4th team foul on Lane Tech. So after Clark was racking up all the fouls to start things off here, it's kind of evened out here with 16 to go. Looks like both teams could realistically get into the bonus here, as the first free throw no good from Lofton. Malloy and Grunenbaum, the lone starters into the game for Lane Tech, to go along with Rosenkrantz, Soar, and Springer. Lane Tech's been basically playing the same 10 guys all game long for most of this season, as checking into the game will be number 2, Javari Jackson, the 6'2 sophomore. for Clark. They have some seniors, but also some sophomores and juniors for the future of this Clark program. As he misses a second shot, goes 0 for 2, and a jump ball is going to be called. But as we mentioned, that's exactly what you want if you are kind of a new team to the Red. Lane Tech's obviously been here for a couple of years, as Joseph Perona will check in for Will Rosenkrantz. But Clark, this is just their second year in the league, and they did not go down last year. They're not going to go down this year, and it looks like they're building for a future where they stick in the red. Jack Tsor will bring it up, something you don't see all that often here as we reach the 6-minute mark in the second quarter. Perona gets it to Grunebaum, and they're going to call a travel on him. Looks as if Grunebaum thought there for a second about taking the 3-ball after he made his last 3 attempts. And Michael Jones is going to check back into the game for number 23, Wynn Patton. But anyways, as we said, looked like Grunebaum was thinking about the shot, decided not to, and traveled in the action of doing so. So both the Jones brothers back on the court here for Clark with 5:45 to go in the first half. We'll see if that can kind of switch up this offensive momentum for Lane, and it kind of does right away. Miquan Jones hits a 3. A timeout's going to be called by Clark, a 30-second timeout. That will be their first called tonight. And it will be a 2-point Lane Tech lead with 5:42 to go in the first quarter. So kind of this momentum switching back and forth between these two teams. That was the first timeout called thus far today by Clark. One call by Lane Tech in the first quarter. Just a 30-second timeout for both these teams, not using too much time up. There'll also be a mass timeout coming up momentarily as we look for a fun finish to the first half. Clark has been subbing guys in and out pretty much the whole game. They have a steady flow of players coming from their bench. However, leading the charge has been the Jones brothers, Michael and Miquan. They have combined for 15 of the 22 points for Clark, and of the 17 combined from the players on the court right now for Clark, they have 15, so all but one basket, who was given by Lofton. Here comes a dangerous press from Clark. They get to Perona, and Perona's going to break it by himself. He has a nice opportunity there, but decides to throw it away instead. It looked like it must have slipped because he was trying to give it to Springer, or Springer didn't cut. And Clark will get it back. Nice opportunity for them. So Lofton stayed in for an extra second. Now both of the Jones brothers will be in as Michael Jones comes in. And one more sub. Looks like Wynn Patton might have been on the bench. He comes back in. 5:30 to go in quarter number 2 of play. 24-22, the Lane Tech lead, and another charge is going to be called. That is the second so far today. I think it was taken by Jack Tsor there. And the Lane Tech coaching staff has to like that one. It's something they've been harping on for a couple of years, and it works here tonight against the Eagles. And Clark is going to stick with this full court press as Cottrell Weekly checks in for CJ Johnson, who takes, I believe, his first rest of the night. And Lane Tech's going to send 2 guys down, and they get to Perona, who gives it back to Jack Tsor. And now Clark will lay off of their press. Under 5:20 to go in the first. Perona here near side, gets it to Malloy. Malloy thought about the 3, pulls for the mid-range jumper, can't get to go. That's what's kind of dangerous about Malloy. He can make the 3s and the layups, so you never know what he's going to do, but doesn't work there. Down low, going up for 2 is Lofton, and is Wynn Patton, and he gets fouled and will head to the line to shoot a pair, the 6'3" senior. Shahid Solibo will check back into the game momentarily for Lane Tech after a couple of minutes off the court. We'll see who he comes in for. But first, 2 free throws for Wynn Patton, who's been held to just 2 points here early on tonight, as the first free throw is good. And Clark has made this just a 1-point game. Solibo checks in for Grunebaum, and Anthony Zanders makes his first appearance of the night for Jack Tsor. So looks as if Hayden Matthews might have just been used for a couple of minutes. For those of you who are tuning in, got a couple of first quarter minutes, and now the second free throw good as well. So 2 for 2 free throws here from Clark, and it is an all-tie game with 5 minutes to go in the first half. It was kind of hard to gauge where this game was going to end up before the start of the game, just because Clark has blown out a couple of opponents, but Lane Tech's been pretty solid in conference play up until last week. And Lane Tech proven they can hang with the favorite here tonight, as it is going to be Clark basketball off of the turnover by Lane Tech. Bringing up the court, Myquan Jones here with 4:50 to go in the first half. Great defense here from Lane. Perona forces a steal, but Myquan Jones will get it back here in the corner. CJ Johnson back in after a quick rest, and that will be rebounded by Perona. Perona everywhere from this Lane Tech defense. He coughs it up, fighting on the ground for it. They're going to say it goes off of Perona, and Clark will keep possession. So nice turn of events there for the Eagles, and Will Rosenkrantz going to check into the game for Perona after Perona's stint here in the second quarter. All tied up. Clark with a chance to take back the lead here with 4.5 to play in the first half. Going in, cutting for two, can't get it to go. And Lane Tech will get it back. We'll have a mass timeout coming up soon, and they are going to call a foul here on Daryl Liberty. And that should put Lane Tech into the bonus, unless that was their 6th team foul. See if the scoreboard updates here. And yeah, so Saliba's going to walk to the line, and that is going to be the 7th team foul on Clark this half. So Lane Tech will be shooting at least 1 and 1 the rest of the way out. Lane Tech is at 5 team fouls, so they're not quite at giving Clark the bonus yet, as Cottrell Weekly checks back into the game. Hasn't scored yet, but he's been coming in and out for the Eagles so far tonight. As Saliba makes the first one, he'll get the second one. He's up to 9 points, not even at halftime yet. So he could be looking at yet another career high. Had 22, which I believe tied his career high. I think he had 22 last week or 2 weeks ago. And Saliba will have one more shot at it. 4:20 on the clock. The coaches arguing over something, I think, with the substitutions. We're still going to talk to the referees about it. Saliba will have one free throw after the argument is resolved. Now Saliba is going to walk over the half court as he waits for it all to get figured out. 25-24, Lane Tech with the lead here after the first free throw from Saliba is made. As we mentioned, Michael O'Brien of the Sun-Times, kind of leading source for Chicago Public League and Illinois high school basketball. He said Saliba might be the best sophomore in the public league, and everyone knows public league, one of the more competitive leagues in probably the country. So that is a big thing to say. And Saliba following up with another nice performance here tonight. He can get to double digits here in the second quarter, and he does with the second free throw, and Lane Tech back in front by 2. Johnson will bring it up the court. Made a 3 early on this corner after being cold from behind the arc to start off the game. Myquan Jones gives it down low, and the quick 2 is good there from Wynn Patton. And Clark has kind of found a way to spread out its scoring after as all the Jones brothers to start things off, as Saliba pulls for 3, airballs it. Almost looked like a swish, but it was just to the left of the rim, and that will bring us to a mass timeout with 3:53 to go, all knotted up at 26 here at Lane Gymnasium. So as we were mentioning, it was all Michael and Myquan Jones to start off the first quarter for Clark, and really most of the first quarter is just them two. Now they're finding ways to kind of sneak, to spread out the scoring. If you look at the scoreboard, all 5 guys on the court right now for the Eagles have scored, except Weekly, who I think just came in, but they've just been really spacing out their scoring, and that's how they've knotted up at 26 here. A big matchup in some Friday night basketball action. Lane Tech trying to get to above 500. They can clinch that with a win tonight. Whitney Young's going to be difficult to get a win against, just being one of the better teams in the state year in and year out. We'll see A.J. Casey here at Lane Gymnasium on Wednesday, but that's going to be a tough win for them. So Lane Tech really wants to get that win tonight and get that 5th conference win. Clark, on the other hand, as we mentioned, they are fighting for third place. It looks as if Orr and Whitney are probably going to go 1-2 in the conference, and I don't think they're going to end up playing each other. They don't have it scheduled, and right now conference ends on Wednesday, so it looks as if both of those, if they can win on Wednesday, would go 8-0 in conference play and clinch a co-conference title. As out of the timeout, it'll be Clark basketball, 3:50 to play in the first. Alex Burston on the call here from Lane Gymnasium. Quan Jones gets it inside to his brother. He pulls for the kind of weird two, spread out his feet on the shot, but doesn't matter. And Clark's back in the lead for the first time in a while. 3:30 to go now in the first half. Lane Tech would like a response quickly here. Malloy driving the baseline, hands it off to Zanders. Nice spin move, can't finish though. Would have been a nice sequence for Zanders, but can't get the two on the board. And now more ball movement and a three from Quan Jones, and the Clark defense is rolling. 31-26, that's their biggest lead possibly of the night, at least in a little while here. As Malloy's going to cut to the basket, get fouled. That would be a blocking foul called on the Eagles. That will be their 8th team foul called against Johnson. And Malloy will get 2 free throws to try to cut into this 5-point Clark lead. Lane Tech had been playing from ahead a lot, and some of what we've seen this season is Lane Tech just does not play as well playing from behind. They fell behind early the OR, and then they were not able to recapture the lead. As Malloy will make the first free throw, Zanders and Springer will check out for Goonan and Grunenbaum. So Lane Tech going without a true big here. Interesting, no Basil or Springer here. As Parker Springer checks out, and the second free throw good as well. And it's a one-possession game, 3 minutes to go in the first half. Johnson being guarded by Grunenbaum. Nice matchup there. They get to the far side to Weekly. Weekly into a wide open Win Patton. Salibo caught off guard with his defensive matchup, and a 5-point lead once again for the Eagles. Malloy gets it to Goonan in the corner. Rosencrantz pulls for 3, airballed it, and Clark could extend their lead here on the fast break. They get down low. Quan Jones blocked. There was a little contact on the ball there from Rosencrantz to keep the score, and now Lane Tech's going to rush it. Malloy spin move, through his legs, goes up for 2, can't finish. Went with a little hesitation, but unable to score, and Weekly's going to get fouled and will head to the line, trying to get his first points of the night and extend this 5-point Clark lead. Of all the good scoring tonight, free throws have not come super easily for Clark early on, with 2:19 to go in the first half. Weekly, as we mentioned, has not scored yet tonight, as the junior makes his first free throw. Had 10 points earlier on this season against Dunbar. As we'll have 2 bigs check into the game, as Ajis checks in and Basil checks in. Rosencrantz will take a seat on the bench, so Lane Tech gets a big man in here. As the second free throw on its way, and that one's good as well. And the Clark offense now out to a 7-point game. Apologies there, folks. Gave the wrong first point to Lane Tech as Grunenbaum finds an open Goonan. He's made 1 tonight. Can't make his second, though. Rebounded by Michael Jones. Fighting for it's Malloy, though. And now it's going to try to force a steal. We'll say it went off of Malloy, though. And Clark will keep possession. 2:02 to go. Nearing the end of the first half here. Still anyone's game, but Clark trying to pull away here late in the first half. It'll be Johnson bringing things up the court, being guarded by Grunenbaum here. It's been one of the best matchups here tonight. Grunenbaum's been doing a pretty good job on him. Lane Tech's been going back and forth between their zone and man-to-man, but Johnson's been relatively quiet. As coming to the basket, going up for 2 is Michael Jones. He can't finish. And they're going to send Grunenbaum. 1:40 to go. Grunenbaum, Euro step and a block. Big block there from Gautreau Weekly. He said, get this out of here. Lane Tech will keep possession, but don't get any points off of that drive from Grunenbaum. Goonan. Salibo is wide open, decides to go to contested Grunenbaum instead, and we'll say it went off of Johnson. But it looked as if Salibo was wide open in the corner, and Goonan doesn't hit him. Missed opportunity there for Lane Tech. 35-28, 95 seconds to go in the first half. Grunenbaum will get to Basil, hands it back off to Grunenbaum, now to Malloy. Malloy pulls for 3, He made one early on, but has been quieter since. Just 7 points for the Stars senior. 1:20 to go in the first. And Clark could make it a 10-point game here, which would definitely be not what Lane Tech wants after they looked in control through the first quarter or so. 1:08. Clark might try to hold for the final minute here. Johnson being guarded by Grundebaum. They're not sending Grundebaum to force a steal or anything, so Clark very well might have the chance. Now Johnson will drive right side, almost loses it, picked up by into the game, actually a sub. My apologies, folks. Number 0, Keandre Pitts, making his first appearance, I believe, today. And now Johnson will hold it again near midcourt. 40 seconds. And a timeout will be, oh no, they're going to call 3 seconds in the lane there, I think, on Keandre Pitts. So Lane Tech will get it back, and Clark was doing a good job of holding it. It doesn't work out for them. Lane Tech gets it back, and an immediate foul called there on Lofton right as he came into the game. Picks up the foul, and Lane Tech's in the bonus. So that is going to be 1-1 for Shahid Salibo, who made both his first trip to the line. That will be the 9th team foul on Clark. So it looks like the Eagles might just escape without putting Lane into the double bonus, as both of the Jones brothers will check in, Michael and Myquan, for Lofton and Weekly. Lofton was in there, I think, just a second or two. Pretty sure he just came in. As Lane Tech will put no guys in the rebounding position, and Salibo makes the first one to make it a 6-point game. Big free throws here from Salibo. For a second, it looked like it could be a double-digit lead, but if he makes the second one, it will be a 5-point game, and he does just that. Salibo goes 2 for 2 from the line. He has 12 points in the first half, and is a 5-point Eagles lead with 35 seconds to go in the first half of play. Now looks as if they will successfully hold for a final shot after they got caught with the violation trying to hold it for the first time. But as we said, those were some big free throws there from Salibo, as even if they scored a 3 here, it'd be a single-digit Eagles lead heading into the half, not a double-digit one. Grundebaum comes in for defense. Far side to Geist with it. 5 seconds on the clock. Pulls for the contested 2. Misses it. Goonan throws it off of the defender there. Threw it off of Wynn Padden. And Lane Tech's going to have 0.8 to throw up a shot. Because if Goonan will rebound it, they're leaving Malloy open. Malloy's made some crazy shots before. He's going to have to throw it right up. They will not get it off, and that will bring us to the end of one half of play. 35-30 to score. So Shahid Salibo once again having himself a game with 12 points, coming off of a 22-point performance. He looks like he could have another career high. If he keeps up that performance, it will be 24 for him. The leading scorer, Myquan Jones, for the Eagles with 12. His brother with 8. We'll be back in a couple of minutes to recap the first half of action, get you ready for the second half as well, and just set the scene heading into this final week of conference action. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Lane Tech Basketball here on the Lane Tech Athletics YouTube channel. Halftime score here from Lane Gymnasium, 35-30. Clark on top of Lane Tech. Lane was up at the end of one. They pretty much controlled through the first 8 minutes of play and then extending into the start of the second quarter. But Clark's offense comes alive a little bit in the second quarter to take a 5-point lead. However, for those of you who are watching, Shahid Salio with a couple of clutch free throws at the end. It was a 7-point game. Clark was holding for a final shot. Looked as if it could have been a double-digit Clark lead heading into the halftime break, but they get a violation in the lane for the Eagles. Lane Tech gets it back, and an immediate foul by Lofton sends Salibo to the line for a 1-and-1. Hits them both, and we are at a game. 5-point game heading into the second 16 minutes of play. Welcome inside the broadcast booth. Alex Burstein here at Lane Gymnasium. Lane Tech definitely entered today as the underdog against a very strong Clark team. Clark's 15-3. They lost 3 games on the year. Got third at Proviso West, which is one of the better holiday tournaments in the state. Their only loss coming to Kenwood, who, as we all knew, is a very impressive team, but they have some really good wins. They beat Niles Notre Dame. Lane Tech was not able to do that. Their only really big loss has come to Whitney Young. That was 90-58. And that kind of shows how this conference works. Everyone says Red Northwest is such a competitive conference, and it is. However, the difference between those top 2 teams and kind of the rest of the conference, because Clark right now, they're third in the conference, but they're losing by 32 points to Whitney Young. Whitney and Orr are kind of one tier, and then Clark, Lane, Westinghouse, they're kind of the next tier, and then there's kind of the bottom. But Whitney and Orr are kind of just at the top right now, and we'll see if any team is able to catch them in the city playoffs. It looks like it might be a pretty heavily dominant Red South performance in the city playoffs this year. Hyde Park, Curie, Simeon, all Kenwood. I mean, that's 4 teams right there who all could probably sweep their way through this Red Northwest conference with maybe some troubles against Orr and Whitney, but it's just super impressive what is happening on the south side here this year in the Chicago Public League, and we'll see what comes of that once the city playoffs start up next week. It's a busy week here at Lane Gymnasium because the city playoffs starting for girls basketball as well. So tomorrow night, girls basketball starting their playoff run against South Shore in the first round. They're hosting them, and then if they win, they'll go on the road, most likely on Thursday. And then Wednesday, Lane Gymnasium is hosting against Whitney Young. That's going to be a fun one. 2 years ago, if any of you were here, that was probably the best environment I've seen at Lane Gymnasium. No, it's definitely the best environment I've seen at Lane Gymnasium. You see all those empty green and yellow seats on the other side of your screen? None of those were there. It was a completely packed crowd on the side for Whitney Young and Lane Tech fans. CJ Stewart came in, and Lane Tech, they held their own with Whitney, but it ended up being a Dolphins victory. And then in the second, and now the second coming, AJ Casey, he comes to play, one of the top-rated players in the country, and I'm sure there will be another big crowd on hand for him. And then on Friday, it's senior night for Lane Tech. Lane Tech honoring boys basketball, honoring all their seniors, as well as cheerleading and dance and majorettes as well, I believe. So that should be a long but fun game against Northside on Friday night. Lane Tech obviously enters as the favorite. That is not a conference matchup. The only 2 conference matchups for Lane Tech this week are the final 2 ones, Clark and Whitney Young. Last week of regular season play in the Red Northwest this year, and we'll take you through the standings heading into these last couple of games. So last night it was yesterday it was North Lawndale versus Clark. So there was some Sunday action, which almost never happens. Now today it is Clark versus Lane Tech. I'm going to check real quick. I don't think there is any tomorrow, but then there is a full slate coming on Wednesday, so we'll try to get you through those games to go along with the schedule as Clark comes back on the court to shoot a couple of free throws before they try to defend this lead into the second half. So we'll check here. Yeah, looks like there is no games tomorrow in the Red Northwest Conference. Obviously, the usual Tuesday South Central matchups. But then Wednesday, it's going to be really fun. Lane Tech taking on Whitney, as we said. Lincoln Park at Clark. Lincoln Park struggled in some games, but it's coming off a big victory over Farragut. So we'll see what happens there. Or at Marshall, or should be able to take care of business, but you never know. Schurz at North Lawndale, and then Westinghouse at Farragut on Wednesday. And that will wrap up conference play as teams try to jostle for city seeding and also try to jostle to stay up in the conference. So despite losing on Wednesday and Friday, Lane only goes from 3rd place to 4th place in the conference standings. Actually, they might have dropped to 5th. I just see this now. I think I hadn't aired my standings. So I had them at 4th. However, Westinghouse has the head-to-head over them, and then Lane has the head-to-head over North Lawndale. So looks like it's Young in 4th, Orr in 2nd, Clark in 3rd. Those are kind of above everyone else with 0 losses or 1 loss in the case of Clark. And then Lane and Westinghouse both 4 and 3, but Westinghouse holds the head-to-head. North Lawndale at 4 and 4, and then at the bottom of the conference, Lincoln Park, Farragut, and Marshall all at 2 and 6. Sure's at 1 and 7. So looks like it's likely going to come down to head-to-heads and stuff. So as we said, Lincoln Park has the head-to-head over Farragut. Marshall, I think, has the head-to-head over Farragut as well. I need to check on that score, but it's looking as if Farragut has a somewhat decent chance to move down, as does Marshall. But we'll see what happens after the final games on Wednesday. 40 seconds to go until throw-in of the second half, and we'll get your starting lineups once again because we'll assume that those are the same that the teams are going with for the second half. For Lane Tech, it's going to be the 5 of Sean Malloy, Ethan Grunenbaum, Shahid Salibo, Stephen Goonan, and Lucas Basil. Those guys played off and on minutes. Sean Malloy and Shahid Salibo played most of the first half to go along with Ethan Grunenbaum as well. Basil played a lot too. And then for Clark, looks like it will be Cottrell Weekly, both the Jones brothers, Johnson, and number 23, Wynn Padden, who actually I don't think started the first half. So one change for the Eagles here to start off the second half of play. We're ready for action. 16 minutes to decide this big Monday night Red Northwest Conference matchup here between Lane Tech and Clark. Thanks for joining us. Alex Burstein on the call here from Lane Gymnasium, as it will be Clark basketball to start off the half. They inbound it and get to Weekly, who hands it off immediately to Johnson. 7:50 to go and counting in the third quarter. They get down low. Goonan with some tight defense. Going up for 2, though, and getting it is Mikkel Jones, and the lead up to 7 here for Clark. If Clark can score a couple of unanswered baskets here to start the third quarter, it would be pretty bad for Lane Tech. Clark could extend their lead pretty easily, as Grunenbaum will get to Salibo on the far side. Under 7.5 to play. Salibo with a little bit of an air there, turns it over into the hands of Mikkel, and going up for 2. They're going to call a foul on Lane Tech. So the first foul of, oh no, they call a travel. I thought the refs were pointing towards Lane Tech for the foul, but no, they were giving the travel, and Lane will get it back with no damage done. Still down by 7 here in the third quarter. Goonan pulls for 3. He's 1 for 3 shooting now from beyond the arc with that miss. Made his first shot attempt, but has missed 2 since then as Johnson rolls to his right. Grunenbaum, as we mentioned, doing a really good job stopping Johnson from scoring here, and Salibo will pick up the rebound, and a foul called first of the half goes against C.J. Johnson from Clark. That's his second foul today. Clark just has a couple of guys with 2 fouls. No one in true foul trouble yet, but that will be something to monitor heading into the final 2 quarters of play here. Salibo throws up a 3 on the far side, airballs it. He's airballed 2 threes, somewhat uncharacteristic, and a turnover here. Grunenbaum has numbers. 3-on-2 for Lane Tech. They dish it out to Goonan, and a charge called on Grunenbaum with the forward motion. Just ran into Mikkel Jones there. And getting it back will be the Eagles, still up by 7. So Lane Tech squanders a couple of opportunities here to cut into this lead early on in the third quarter. 6.5 to go in quarter number 3. Johnson with it, being guarded by Grunenbaum. Looked like the ball got tipped there, but Mikkel Jones will come up with it still. 10 points on the day for him. He's the second double-digit scorer behind his brother, and now will tie his brother for points, and Clark's lead up to 9, their biggest of the day, with 6:14 to go in the third quarter. Lane Tech really needs some points on the scoreboard. They get to Basil. Basil drives in, and a foul's going to be called. And Clark will once again take the lead in fouls, now up 2-1 here in the first half. And that is going to be the second foul call on Wynn Patton. So once again, seems as if everyone on this Clark team has 2 fouls. The only one not on the court right now who doesn't have 2 is Agist, who, no, Agist not playing right now. The scoreboard was bad, so I think everyone has 2 as the and one is good from Johnson, pushing the pace. And now an 11-point lead, and it looks like Clark trying to open up a lead here in the third quarter, and a full timeout is going to be called by Lane Tech not even 2 minutes into the third quarter. So a little bit of momentum here from Clark, and Clark will be, and Johnson will be shooting 1 after the break to try to make this a 12-point lead. So Clark was leading for most of that second quarter, but Lane Tech was able to keep it single digits at least the whole time, and they were able to stick with it, shooting some shots to stay within 5, stay within 7. But now Clark is starting to hit them, and the big difference, Lane Tech does not have a response, as Lane's still stuck at this 30-point mark, 41-30 with 6:02 to go in the third quarter. We'll see if Lane Tech has a response out of this timeout. As you mentioned, it will be 1 free throw from Johnson. Johnson following up a 14, listen to the stat line, just crazy for me actually. 14 points, 8 assists, 4 rebounds, 2 steals. When I was doing prep for this Clark team, just so many of their players, they score in so many different stat categories, and not just like 1 or 2, obviously just 2 steals, but they do a little bit of everything. A lot of multi-tool players. Johnson opened up the season with 35 points. And his scoring hasn't been able to keep that pace, but he has been pretty good for this Eagles team since then as well, and he'll hope to get to his 6th point of the day with the first free throw here. He had a 3-pointer in the first half, and he will make it. So Clark takes a 12-point lead now, and Lane Tech really wanting to end this scoring drought here. So Lebo pushes it by himself, now backs things up. So Lebo's gotten a lot more confident with the ball, but he turns it over here. Weekly goes up for 2, so Lebo jumps into him, and they're going to call a travel. I thought they were going to call a foul against Lebo. He made minimal contact, but there was some contact there nonetheless. But the Eagles will get it back 42-30 with 5:45 to go in the third quarter. Lane Tech going from right to left as Grunenbaum pulls for 3, misses it. And this is kind of the story in the first quarter as well. Lane Tech was just cold out of the gate. Then they kind of heated up after a couple of missed shots, and they're hoping that is the case here again as Johnson pulls for 3, can't get it to go. Rebounded though by Myquan Jones. He can't get it. Goes up a second time, and now a foul will be called. Malloy thought he had all ball there, but they're going to call a foul, I believe, on Malloy. No, they're going to call Lucas Basil there. I didn't even see Lucas Basil. Must have been coming from behind there. He gets called for the foul, his 2nd of the day. And Lane Tech now with 3 fouls in the half. As the first free throw, nothing but net from Myquan Jones. You kind of have to expect whenever either of these Jones brothers takes a shot, they're going to make it. So it's really just going to come down to if Lane Tech is able to limit these shots taken by them, as now a 14-point lead by Clark, and they're starting to pull away here with 5:15 to go in the third quarter. Grunenbaum gets it here to Basil, now to Goonen. Goonen topped the key. He shot a couple, but has kind of looked more in a passing mode after missing back-to-back 3-point shots. Now Goonen will drive in, pass it to Malloy. There we see, didn't go up for the shot. Now Malloy gets in, goes for the weird 2, can't get to go. Would have been an impressive shot, but Clark will instead have a chance to extend their lead. Johnson in the corner. He's missed back-to-back from that exact spot. And now Malloy's going to send Goonen a little too far, so he had to stop his momentum. And now Lane Tech will reset its offense as all 5 guys come down the court. So Lebo being guarded here by Weekly. Malloy just tipped it to Basil. Basil pulls for 3 and gets it. So Lane finally breaks their little bit of a scoring drought, and they cut the lead to 11. Clark's still in control of this game, but we'll see if they can get some momentum out of it. That's kind of what we said in the first quarter. Couldn't score, and then they hit a couple of 3s to wake themselves up. We'll see if that's the case here. Weekly with it. We'll have a mass timeout soon with 4:10 to go in the quarter as Jones misses it, and Grunenbaum is off to the races. Grunenbaum, 1-on-3. Lane Tech does not have the numbers. They'll slow things down. Now Basil goes in, goes up for two, missed it. And a rebound here from Michael Jones. 44-33. Lane Tech's missed a couple of opportunities here, and a charge is going to be called. The third one taken today here by Lane Tech against Michael Jones with 3:50 to go. And they're not to call a mass timeout, so inbounding it is going to be Goonan. A Geist will check into the game for Michael Jones. And I think that was the third foul, maybe just the second. But obviously you want to keep Michael Jones out of foul trouble, and that will be a mass timeout. So out of the timeout, it will be Lane Tech basketball, 44-33. They trail Clark. They had the last point of the game in a three-pointer, and they'll hope to hit another three-pointer here to cut it to a single-digit lead. 2 points would do that as well, but we'll see what they can do. And that was called on Michael Jones, and that will be his third. So expect him to take a break. His brother has no fouls, which is what you do want to see, but as we mentioned, we'll have to keep an eye on these Clark players slowly getting into foul trouble. Lane Tech does not really have that. Both teams have 3 fouls here in the third quarter so far. However, in the first half, it was a lot more Jones. They had a couple guys doing most of the fouling, and also they put Lane into the bonus, close to the double bonus, while Lane did not put Clark even into the single bonus. As both the teams finish up their talk with their coaching staffs, and it'll be Lane Tech basketball here. Big possession coming up for Lane Tech. Seems as if throughout this third quarter, Lane Tech has had a lot of chances. Could have been probably a 4 or 5 point game right now if Lane Tech had not missed some shots and had some turnovers that they should not have had. And Goonan will inbound it quickly to Malloy. As it's interesting, Clark has kind of backed off their full court press that they used a little bit in the second quarter. I think they just realized that Lane was not letting them get anything out of it, as Saliba loses the basketball. He had 12 and they were all in the first half. He's kind of quieted down here, a couple errors in the second, as down low, coming out of nowhere was Grunbaum there for the block, but the offensive rebound, Johnson pulls for 3, and when you give him 3 chances and he misses the first 2, you got to expect he's going to come up with something, and there he does. 47-33, a 14-point lead once again for Clark. Basil with it, drives the baseline. He's going to go up for 2, can't get it, gets his own rebound, now goes up for 2, and they're going to call a foul against number 23, Wynn Patton. We'll see if they called it shooting or not. Looks like they will. That will be a third foul called on Wynn Patton. So now 2 key players on this Clark team in foul trouble. As the first free throw is good. Lane Tech's going to just have to slowly crawl their way back into this one as Goonan and Salibo take a rest for Rosencrantz and Soar. Salibo after those couple of errors, but you have to expect he won't be out for long just because of how big of a part he is to this team, and the second free throw no good, so Basil goes 1 for 2 from the line, and it's still a 13-point Eagles lead with under 3 to play in the third. Lane Tech hoping to not increase their win streak to 3. And the foul is going to be called against Basil, a pushing foul. And now he has 3 on the game. We'll see how long they keep him in. And Clark will have a second chance here on this possession. That was the 4th foul here. I thought it was their 4th on Lane, but scoreboard just has 3. We'll see if they update that momentarily. They will. So now 4 on both teams here as the 3 on its way. No good from Jones, and that will go off of Clark. That was Myquan Jones who missed the 3. And now Lane Tech will get it back. 3-pointer can make it a 10-point game. They rush it. Grunbaum darting in. He'll get called for, a foul will be called against a Geist. Blocking foul, and Grunbaum will head to the line to shoot 2. So looks as if Lane Tech getting to the free throw line a lot more often here in the second half. Free throws have kind of been the death of this team so far in a couple of games. And now Grunbaum hits the first one. It seems like as if they've been a little better, actually, shooting here early on tonight, and they'll try to keep that up. 12-point game, 2:37 to go as the second free throw, no good, a lane violation called. That is the second lane violation called against Lane Tech on made free throws. They had one on Basil in the first half, and now one with Grunebaum shooting in the second half. So it'll be a 12-point lead for Lane Tech, under 2.5 to play in the third. Rosenkrantz tips it, but unable to force the steal. Alex Burston on the call here from Lane Gymnasium for a fun Red Northwest Monday night matchup. Last time we'll have Monday night action this year. Obviously, there wasn't a lot of Monday night action so far, but last week of the conference regular season, and a jump ball possession will go to Lane Tech. So they get it back. Not the best way to get it back without a turnover, just a jump ball, but nonetheless, ball will be in the hands of Lane Tech as Grunebaum brings it up on the far side. Almost a starting lineup in here for Lane Tech with Grunebaum, Basil, and Malloy, as Rosenkrantz will get the offensive rebound, something Lane Tech struggled with today, but unable to get a second shot off, and Johnson will go in for two. Lane Tech wanted a double dribble, but doesn't matter. Grunebaum gets it back. Grunebaum pushing the pace. He looks as if he's injured, holding his leg. He's not going to be able to come back down the court, and the three, no good. It will go off of Clark, and Shahid Solibo is going to check in for Ethan Grunebaum as he walks off the court. And now the press for Clark is going to come back. Slow press, but one guy guards for a second. 47-35, 90 seconds to play in the third quarter. Solibo, spin move, gets it out to Tsur. Now back to Solibo. Solibo trying to work his way in. Nice job defending here from Clark. Now Rosenkrantz pulls for three and gets it. It's a single-digit game once again, 47-39. Rosenkrantz hitting the shots when they matter most. Parker Springer will check into the game momentarily for Lane Tech, likely for Lucas Basil, but we'll see. Minute to go now here in the third quarter, and looks as if Clark might just hold for a final shot. The last time they tried to do this, with about a minute left in the second quarter, they ended up with a lane violation, but now they have all five guys on the perimeter, so it looks as if that will not be happening. So Lebo guarding Weekly here, they get it back to McQuan Jones here. 33 seconds, so Clark doing a good job eating up some time here with the lead and possession. As we wind down the end of the third quarter, Clark will start the fourth quarter with possession. Now Johnson with it. Johnson loses it. Trying for it is Solibo. Solibo has the steal. Goes in by himself. Goes up for two and a block by Weekly. And a travel is going to be called by Weekly. So Weekly had the big play, but then makes an error. And Lane Tech will get it back. It was a 5-point game at halftime. 9 points right now as Basil will check out of the game. Springer comes in, but Lane Tech can at least get it somewhat closer to that halftime deficit here if they score here with 12.1 seconds left. I imagine they'll try for a shot at the buzzer, at least with just a couple seconds left. As Malloy holds it, 5 seconds, goes up for the floater, blocked by Agis, fighting on the ground for it. Johnson comes up, pulls up for three, and he's going to miss it. No foul is going to be called, and that is going to bring us to the end of 3 quarters of play. Pretty good quarter for the Eagles. They take a 9-point lead heading into the fourth quarter. We'll be back in just a second. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Lane Tech basketball here on the Lane Tech Athletics YouTube channel. So Lane led after 1 quarter of play, but it's a 5-point Clark lead at halftime, and now a 9-point Clark lead heading into the final 8 minutes as Lane tries to make some sort of comeback and try to avoid falling to 4-4 in conference play. This would be their third straight loss. If the result holds, it'll be Salibo, Malloy, Springer, Rosencrantz, and Soar, the same 5 to break the huddle for Lane Tech, and weekly, both the Jones brothers, Agist and Johnson, your 5 on the court. Agist, excuse me, for the Eagles. 7:57 on the clock. Johnson will control things for Clark. They obviously want to take some time off the clock, but Michael Jones will lose it. Diving on the floor, Salibo gets it. And a travel is going to be called. Head coach Nicholas Lugabo tried to call a timeout there, but Salibo kind of just slid with it as he was diving for it, and Clark will get it back. A little bit of a wasted opportunity there for Lane Tech, as Daryl Liberty will check into the game. He's been playing off and on minutes, and the ball blocked by Tsor, but will stay with Clark. So a third chance here for Clark. They have not had a shot yet on this 13-second possession. Long pass out to Johnson. That's going to go almost all the way to the Lane Tech scoring basket. And Johnson will be forced to bring things up by himself. Lane Tech looking like they may go into no, they're going to stay with a man-to-man. Rosencrantz staying on Johnson here. Grunenbaum did a good job locking up Johnson, but left the game in the third quarter, and a foul is going to be called. Off the ball, it's going to be called on Will Rosencrantz. So now 5 fouls in both teams, and looks as if both might find their way into the bonus here in the fourth quarter. Johnson pulls for a big 3, gets it! Clark reaches the 30-point mark, and it's a 12-point Clark lead. They get it back to double digits for the Eagles. They're not running away with it, but they've done a good job of keeping Lane Tech from getting back into this one as Tsor misses the 3. And they're going to need to make some of those here late in the game with 7 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Johnson holding it, being guarded here by Rosencrantz. 6:55 on the clock. Lane Tech definitely needs some stops here. They get to Michael Jones. He gets double teamed, but passes it out instead to his brother. Swinging it, Johnson, far side. Johnson's just camping there on the far side and has made a couple of threes because of it. Driving in, Miquan Jones misses it, and they're going to call a charge, 4th of the game against Clark. And Lane Tech with another chance to cut into this lead. 12 points to lead now for Clark. That's just the first foul called against Miquan Jones. His brother has 3, but he has remained pretty clean throughout the game. As Springer gets it to Salibo. Salibo's is playing really fast, and because of that, he's had some messy passes as Rosencrantz pulls for 3, can't get it. Back-to-back missed 3s on possessions here for Lane Tech. That's hurting them. Out. Johnson for another 3. He gets it! C.J. Johnson cannot be stopped, and Clark's running away with it here in the fourth quarter. 15-point lead, 6 minutes to play in the game, and this one might be all but wrapped if Lane Tech can't get a couple of quick shots here. Salibo pulls for 2, can't get it, but a foul is going to be called on Agist. That is going to, not sure what foul number that is on him. They haven't updated it on the scoreboard, but it will send Salibo to the line, who's been, I think, perfect shooting from the charity stripe today. As the first free throw is good. Get Lane Tech to a 14-point game, and they can get to 13 here with the second free throw. Salibo with 13, but he had 12 in the first half, so it's been a pretty quiet second half for the sophomore. He'll have to pick that up, and he does it here with 2 quick free throws to get his first points of the second half. 13 points. Clark lead. So on top of having to make some shots for really the first time this quarter, Lane Tech's going to need to stop this potent Clark defense as the 2 down low. Foul call on against Lane Tech, and Miquan Jones will head to line to shoot 2. That's what you don't want. You don't want to be giving the opponent free shots here late in a, not a super close game, but in a game you're trying to come back in. As Miquan Jones will take 2. As we mentioned, a transfer from Farragut 2 years ago, as the first free throw is good. Both him and his brother hold dual offers from Detroit and Grambling State. They both have both of them. So we'll see if they'll be playing some college basketball next year. And 2 for 2 from the line. Clark back up to a 15-point lead with 5:40 to go. 16 points on the night for Myquan Jones. He's been really productive here. Malloy sends Salibo, takes himself instead. Gives out to Rosenkrantz. Rosenkrantz fakes it. Thought he was going to go for a 3 there. Instead passes it off. Now Malloy pulls for 3. Misses it. Lane Tech's missed a couple of straight 3s here. Now Malloy underneath the basket gets the easy 2. That's what Lane Tech needs, just some quick points. And that's where Malloy really flourishes there with the under the baskets. 13-point Clark lead, 5:10 to go in the game. Johnson with it near midcourt. Salibo trying to force a steal, almost fouled there, but will back off. Myquan Jones pulls for the long range, misses it, rebounded by Malloy. And Malloy's running 2-on-2, top step, jump, missed it, and a foul's going to be called. I think it was because Malloy kind of tripped on while falling down. No, they're going to call a shooting foul, so Malloy will have another chance at it to shoot 2 free throws. And he can make this an 11-point game, and that is going to be the 8th team foul on Clark. We missed a couple of fouls there. Lane Tech's at 6, but it will be the bonus at least for Lane the rest of the way out. We'll see if Clark is able to get it. And I think they're going to say Malloy was not shooting, which is what we initially thought, but they are in the bonus, so it'll be 1-1. So it was on that fall down from Malloy because there was a player on the ground for Clark. As the first free throw, nothing but net there from Malloy. And now a 12-point game. Malloy reaches double digits a little later than he's been doing most of this game. Most of this season. As a second free throw, good as well. Silver lining here for Lane Tech. The free throw shooting has been looking better than usual here, especially from Malloy and Salibo. Even Basil, I think, is 3 for 4. One didn't count because of a lane violation, but they've been hitting their free throws tonight. And maybe that'll help them lead a comeback here, down by 11, 4:43. You can expect Clark to try to take some time off the clock here as Mykel Jones misses it off the front of the rim. And Lane Tech gets the rebound. They can cut it to a single-digit game here. Malloy gives it out to Rosenkrantz. Under 4:30 to play. Springer hands it off to Malloy. Malloy taking it by himself. He's doing all the offense here, but misses it. Went around the rim and out. And a missed opportunity there for Lane Tech. Lane Tech pressing now, but they're going to break it easily through Wynn Patton, and a timeout is going to be called. Let's see who called it. It's going to be a full timeout taken by Clark, so the Eagles and head coach Terrence Head will take a second to talk things over. 55-44. Lane Tech had a really good chance to make it a 9-point game there, but ball just got unlucky, went around the rim and out from Sean Malloy's attempt at the basket, and we'll see what Lane Tech can draw up here. I think the bigger part is not going to be them scoring 11 points here. I think the bigger part for them is going to be just stopping the Eagles from scoring here, because they've been scoring on a pretty consistent basis here throughout the throughout the second half, as they've gotten to the 55-point mark. Pretty decent scoring game for them. They scored 75. They scored 75 yesterday against North Lawndale. I don't think they'll reach that mark here. Who knows? But still scoring with ease against this Lane Tech team as Clark looks to stretch their win streak to 6. We'll see if Lane Tech has anything to say about that with 4:12 to go. We're going to have 2 timeouts pretty close together here, as well as a mass timeout at the first dead ball under 4 minutes. 4:12 to go in the game. It'll be Clark basketball. They have a wide open Mykel Jones down low. Spin move, goes up for 2 and gets it. Caught Lane Tech a little bit off guard there, I think, and the lead back up to 13 for the Eagles. Lane Tech running out of time. Soar with it. The 3 here would make it a 10-point game, but Lane struggled from 3 here, and there's going to be a charge called against Salibo. So Another foul called against Lane Tech. That is going to put Clark in the bonus, so both teams in the bonus now, and more importantly, Lane Tech does not get any points off of that possession. Now down by 13 with 3:45. Lane Tech was really able to play through about the first 2 quarters, but the second half has just been all Clark. Down low, going up for 2, the easy basket from Liberty. 3:30 now to go in the 4th quarter. I think head coach Nicholas Legalo wanted an offensive foul called against Clark there, but won't get it, and now a 15-point lead. Rosenkrantz from the corner, he hits it. So whenever it seems that Lane Tech might be completely out of it, they hit a big shot, but now 3:10 to go in the game, and it is still a 12-point Clark lead. We still have not had the mass timeout, and they're going to call a carry. And now a mass timeout will be called, so it'll be Lane Tech possession out of the timeout. It can make it a 10-point game or a single-digit lead off of this next possession, but they really need to score here, and then they need a couple of big stops if they want to hold in this one. It's been 47 combined. Excuse me. Oh, yeah, 47 combined points. I think there might be an error at the scoreboard there. Maybe not. There's 17 from Cordy Johnson, who's just lit up this second half, and then 14 and 16 from Michael and Myquan Jones, respectively. So those two have combined for the same number of points Lane Tech has scored. There's been a couple of other contributors from Clark to kind of open up this 12-point lead, but those 3 have been super big, and it's really been the C.J. Johnson show here in the second half. A couple of threes from that far left side corner from where we're facing. He missed a couple, and then he started making them, and that's how he's gotten to 17 points, and that's a big reason why Clark is in the lead right here. 3:05 to go here at Lane Gymnasium. Lane Tech on the edge of falling in their 3rd straight game, and they're definitely at risk of 4-in-a-row losses heading into their senior night with a very tough Whitney team coming into Lane Gymnasium on Wednesday night. It'll be Lane Tech basketball. They need a basket here. 3:05 to go. I think Lane's thought that Clark had it. It'll be a good surprise for them. That is them inbounding it and not the Eagles. As Malloy brings it up the court, gets it to Springer here. Rosenkrantz hit a 3 for Lane Tech on the last possession. Now they'll find him again. Does not take the 3. Instead goes in for the quick 2. Misses it. Rebounded by Wynn Patton. And that's exactly what you don't want if you're Lane Tech. Now Clark's going to eat up some time here. Lane Tech might have to start fouling soon. Salibo comes on to Johnson. Now gets double teamed. That will be taken by Salibo. Salibo on the fast break. Lays it in. Doesn't get too fancy with it. And now it's a 10-point game. And looks like, I don't know what the call was there. Might have been a foul or a warning. I think it was a warning. So it'll remain at 59-49, 2:25 to go. Lane Tech needs a couple of steals here. You don't really want to foul here because in the first half it looked as if Clark was struggling with their free throws, but they've had a couple of guys who've made just about all of their shots from the free throw line here today. Driving in, right-hand side. Myquan Jones misses it, rebounded by Tsor. Salibo was ahead of the entire Clark defense. However, Tsor does not have a chance to throw it to him, and possession arrow will point towards Lane Tech, so they can cut it to under a 10-point lead with some points here. And we'll see what they can do. Malloy bringing it up the court here on the near side. Rosenkrantz has been hot as of recent. Malloy also. And Salibo leads all Lane Tech scorers with 16. Second highest scorer today as the 3-ounce way from Tsor off the mark. Rebounded over the back by Springer, and they will say it is off of Lane Tech. And, oh no, they're going to call a foul on Springer. So Springer gets called for the behind the back push, and now it'll be free throws for Clark. That is the 8th foul, so they were already in the bonus, and it will be 1-and-1 shooting from Wynn Patton, the 6'3" senior. who has 8 points today. If he makes both of them, he can get to double digits, and more importantly, he can get this to a 12-point lead for his team. 1:48 to go in the game. Lane Tech running out of time for some sort of comeback, and that shot is missed, but the offensive rebound, Myquan Jones, and one. That could do it. A big second chance. Offensive rebound, hits it, and the foul for the 6'4" senior. And these Jones brothers have once again just taken over the game. 18 for him now. He can make it 19 here with the free throw, and he won't. Misses it. But still a 12-point lead, and Lane Tech needs 4 3-pointers unanswered just to tie it up. Malloy will lose it on the ground. Jump ball. Possession goes towards Clark, and everything kind of unraveling here for Lane Tech. They're running out of time. They're going to have to foul soon. Johnson gets it. The problem with foul shooting is even if you make one of them, soon they're in the double bonus. Next foul actually puts them into the double bonus, and if they make 1 or 2, they're just extending the lead here. As down low, Mikel Jones with it. Spin move, goes up, misses it, rebounded by Springer. 1:20 now to go. Sewer pushing the pace, left-hand side, goes up for 2, can't get it to go, rebounded by Myquan Jones, and that's going to be the story today. Just missed shots from Lane Tech that they should have made. They had made even half of those shots today. Probably would have been close to being a tie game, but they've struggled with some of the inside shots, and at times they've had really struggled with the three-point shooting here today, as a timeout is going to be called. 30 seconds by Terrence Head and the Clark Eagles. 55 seconds to go, 61-49. The score, Lane Tech on top of Clark. Thanks for joining us. Alex Burstein on the call here from Lane Gymnasium. It's been a fun one, but Clark has really taken control here in the second half to kind of pull away, and looks like they're going to be going to 7-1 in conference play, with a chance to end the conference year 8-1 as they take on Lincoln Park on Wednesday, and I believe that's a home game for them. We saw Lincoln Park play earlier this season, and I'm pretty confident that this Clark team can defeat them. So it looks as if pretty good odds. Clark is going to finish in that 3rd spot in the conference unless Orr or Whitney loses a game, and then we end the tiebreakers and everything. But we'll see. Lane Tech, meanwhile, looks as if they're going to drop even further down in the standings. They're going to be below North Lawndale now, and they're going to go from 3rd place to now 6th place in the conference, as the quick 2 is good from Mikel Jones, and Clark just scoring when it matters most here. Salibo is going to get the blocking call called against his defender, but now it's a 14-point lead, and 2 free throws would just make it a 12-point lead with 45.7 seconds left in the game. JV team waiting in the tunnel. We'll have a second game here, not on the call for that one, but should be a fun one between the Lane Tech and Clark junior varsity teams. As the first free throw, good from Salibo. Oh, I guess they call an and one, so I guess he made the basket there. I did not see that. It's an 11-point game. I guess it doesn't really change things. However, if Lane Tech can get a couple of steals, it could possibly have a chance, but now with 30 seconds, Eagles are just able to take some time, and another timeout called by Terrence Head and Clark. These teams did not use a lot of timeouts throughout the first 3 quarters, which means they've had ample time to use timeouts. There's still 1 more left for Clark. Lane Tech has 3, which means we could be getting into a long final couple minutes of play, but we'll see if Lane Tech fouls down by 11 or if they just try to force a free throw. 63-52 the score, 32.4 seconds. Thanks for joining us. Alex Burstein on the call here for some Monday night Red Northwest Conference action. As I mentioned, we'll be back here on Wednesday for Lane Tech versus Whitney Young in a fun rivalry matchup, the Battle of the School of Champions. Whitney usually has the edge here in basketball, but you never know. Lane Tech could pull off an upset. Looked as if they were maybe going to pull off an upset early here tonight against the Eagles, but second half, the Clark came alive, and Now they're just trying to seal it here with 32.4 seconds left. We'll see if Lane Tech fouls and sends them to the line. Both the teams have 9 fouls. So if either team does foul, it will put the other team in the double bonus for 2 free throws. It'll be Clark basketball near midcourt on the far side. Inbounding it will be Myquan Jones. Rosenkrantz trying to guard the inbound. 32.4 seconds on the clock. They get it to Johnson. Malloy coming in quickly. We'll see if he fouls. Now they get back to Myquan Jones, and now back to Johnson. They wanted a backcourt there, and they will call it. So it'll be a backcourt violation. Lane Tech gets it back down by 11 with 25.2 seconds left. Interesting move there for Lane Tech not to foul. It pays off, however, it's definitely a little risky, and the timeout is going to be called by Lane Tech now. So all the timeouts coming at the end of the fourth quarter here. Lane Tech trying to pull off a miracle here, down by 11 with 25.2 seconds left. They'll just need to throw up some threes and pray they go in, and then probably have some turnovers on the other side of the court, but more or less this one should be over. Big games, as we mentioned, from both of the Jones brothers as well as Johnson. Looks as if Myquan Jones might end as the leading scorer with 18. He was actually overpassed by Shahid Salibo with 19 in what looks to be a losing effort here by Lane Tech. Salibo continues his hot streak, but doesn't really matter when it's unable to result in a win for the team. Malloy took a bad dribble there, is able to pick it up, but now 20 seconds on the clock and a foul will be called. So that's the one thing Clark doesn't want, giving Lane Tech free shots. 18.2 seconds left, so Salibo will be shooting the 1-and-1. I don't think he's missed a free throw yet today. As I said, he was on pace for a new career high. If he makes both of these, he'll be at 21. 22 is his career high, so might fall a little short unless he has one last second basket as he makes the first free throw to make it a 10-point game. 18.2 seconds now on the court, and he does reach that 20-point mark. And second free throw on its way. That one good as well. Both those look like they might miss. And another timeout's going to be called by Lane Tech. So they think they have a chance. 18.2 seconds left. Just about everything would have to go right for Lane to have any ounce of hope for taking a win here. They'd have to intercept this inbound, probably hit a three, then hit another three. Yeah, they nearly impossible, but you never know what can happen. 18.2 seconds on the clock. Both the teams have a timeout. Long couple of final minutes here at Lane Gymnasium as they try to finalize the winner here between Clark and Lane Tech. So as we mentioned, Lane Tech will play Whitney on Wednesday, Northside on Friday, and then it is the city playoffs starting next week. I don't know if it'll start Monday or Tuesday. I believe one of those games. City playoffs are pretty quick. It's a 32-team bracket, but they get it over with in a week and a half or 2 weeks because they have to finish before state playoffs. So a lot of games and not a lot of time. Lane Tech's hoping for that at least, if they can advance past the first couple of rounds. Last time Lane Tech was in the city playoffs, it was an upset loss to Phillips, who I believe was in the white division at that time. They might still be, but it's a white division loss for Phillips. They might have made their way up to the red now. And in the first round at home, so they did not have a chance to play in the second round. Johnson gets the inbound, and he's going to step out of bounds, so Lane Tech will get it back. The clock was running. Lane Tech lost about a second there. So that's kind of exactly what we said they needed to do. Now they'll need a quick three with 14.5 seconds left. We'll get to Springer. Springer hands it off to Malloy. Malloy to Rosenkrantz. Rosenkrantz for three, can't get it. The tip in by Tsur, no good. Springer going up for two, 6 seconds left. He hits it, 5 seconds left. And a timeout will be called by head coach Nicholas Legalbo, and that should do it. Lane Tech took a little too long on that final shot, and it is going to be a 3-possession game with 5 seconds left. Lane Tech burns all of their timeouts here in the second half. 1 left for Clark. Clark put together a pretty good performance. They didn't run away with it like was possible for the Eagles, but they do what they need to take home the victory. 5 seconds exactly on the clock. Clark leading Lane Tech 63-56 in one of the final conference matchups of the year here, of the season, I should say, in the Red Northwest. Lane Tech, after starting 4-1, is going to drop to 4-4 overall as they get to McQuan Jones, and he gets fouled with 3 seconds left. Lane Tech taking every last second trying to make a comeback, but just a little too late. That will be the second foul called on Malloy. So it'll be Jones shooting the free throws. McQuan Jones, he could get up to 20, but looks like Saliba will escape as the game's leading scorer with 21. But just no match for the trio of both the Jones brothers and Johnson, as the first free throw good. Now 64-56. They won't get to the 75 points they got to yesterday, but still a pretty good game for the Eagles scoring-wise. Misses the second one, rebounded by Malloy. Looks like he'll throw up one last shot. Misses it, and that will be your final score here from Lane Gymnasium, 64-56. The Eagles improve to 7-1. 16-3 overall. It's been a great season for them. Lane Tech drops to 14-6, 4-4 in conference play, and they've lost 3 in a row heading into their matchup with Whitney on Friday. That should just about do it. 21 points for Shahid Saliba, leads all scorers, but Johnson and the Jones brothers, too much for Lane Tech to handle here in this conference matchup. Your final score here from Lane Gymnasium: Clark 64, Lane 56. Thanks so much for joining us. My name's Alex Burstein. Good night.